Good afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. This is where you will meet the most talented, intelligent, and creative people who come to share tips, resources, and knowledge on various topics. My guest comes from a magnitude of industries that include education, music, television, theater, fashion, culinary arts, hospitality, health and wellness, mental health, community advocates, and so much more. This is episode number 16. Straight Talking with Kelly's guest is Asoniti Foster. She's a content creator, a writer, a producer, and a licensed caregiver. Today, she's going to talk about her documentary titled Puzzled, that's bringing awareness to the effects of Alzheimer's disease, especially in African American women. But before I introduce you to this phenomenal young lady, I'd like to read a little bit about her background, her bio for you. She's a San Francisco native that has worked on numerous sitcoms, including One-on-One, starring Flex Alexander and Kyla Pratt. Second Time Around, starring Nicole Ari Parker and Boris Kodjoe. And Just Jordan, which was a Nickelodeon show. She even wrote a couple of episodes on Will and Jada Pinkett Smith's sitcom, All of Us. What a resume. So let's welcome our guest, Asoniti Foster.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is to be here to speak with you.
Oh, yeah, this is great. So before we get into your very important discussion about Alzheimer's disease, I'd like to walk down memory lane. I always like to, let people know how we know one another. So you and I have known each other for quite some time, but I couldn't really remember how we met. And when I mentioned that to you, you're like, I do. So would you like to share that?
Right. I will never forget. Kelly Tatum actually introduced us to one another. I kept bugging him about different things in the industry. I'm trying to think if I was a freshman in college or a senior in high school. And he said, you need to meet Kelly. Okay, all right. At that time, young and super gullible. Okay, whoever you say, whoever, okay. And he said, you need to meet her. You'll like her. She'll be great for you. And so I remember calling you and you invited me down to, it was an Italian restaurant downtown San Francisco.
Oh, you know what? At that time, I was working for Foz Restaurants, and it was Italian. It was his Circolo.
And he had
in the Crocker Galleria.
Yes.
He
had an event. You invited me to it, and cut to 100 years later, I have never left calling you, asking you for your advice, crying on your shoulder.
And it has all been my pleasure. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. Seeing you go from not having a child to having one. It's just amazing. And now she's all grown up, so it's been a very long, long relationship.
Yes, a good one.
Yes, indeed. So, Asoniti, tell us a little bit about your background, where you went to school and all that other good stuff.
I went to Philip Burton. I graduated from Philip Burton when it moved to Wilson. And then from there, I went to San Francisco State University and graduated, majoring in mass communications with an emphasis in writing for television. And then I moved to LA. It was literally back to back to back. And it sounds great, and then real life came.
So now tell me this, what made you go to LA? Was it to pursue your career in television?
Absolutely. I worked at Young Community Developers for a very long time in their summer program, after school program, and then actually worked there. And I remember this lady, she was new. She was from the East Coast. Most people work for YCD, they from YCD area. Baby Hunters Point to be exact. And she wasn't, but she was still super cool, Lisa. And, told her I was in college at the time, told her what I wanted to do. And she's like, you need to meet Unetta. Like, okay, again, like you, okay, all right, okay. And so I spoke with Unetta over the phone for actually a couple of years. And then one day she had invited me to come out to an event. And I came out to the event and actually met her in person. And we had a wonderful conversation, and the rest was history. And she said, when you finish school, call me. I was already calling her, but she was like, really, let's really, really talk then. And so I did. And she had got her own show by then, and which was one-on-one with Kyla and Flex, and said, hey, we have a position open, come send me your resume and come interview for it. So
that's awesome. So what was the best part about that work that you did? What did you like the most about being a content writer?
I like being around like-minded people.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I like that the most. I like when they say it takes a village or teamwork makes the dream work, you really see that behind the scene. There is not one person. Now, one person may be responsible for carrying the weight of the show as far as the foundation, but in order to build that, it takes a team, a real team.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. So now, I know that there was a writer's strike, and that led you to begin independently developing and filming various projects. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, writer's strike hit in the middle of production, right? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What is this? That's for grocery stores. That's for postal workers. That's for teachers. That is not for the industry. No, it was very real. They shut it down all the way. And on one hand, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But on the other hand, I was like, ooh, this is a break, right? Because I didn't move to LA and then look for a job. I moved to LA to a job. Okay. I had a job before I really had a real place to lay my head, which is a huge blessing that I'm extremely grateful for. But it was a nice break because I kept working. So it's like, okay, all right. This is, in the middle of Nickelodeon Just Jordan's show. And then I got pregnant, right? A little way too much time.
Yes.
And I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing anyway. Yeah. So I guess this strike was just part of my process and my journey that needed to happen, because I haven't really gone to work at any studio since then. I've done freelance stuff here and there, but to actually be a full-time member of somebody else's, project that is airing, the strike really put me in a position to do my own thing. And I'm a new mom, right? Yeah. And I want to be there with my daughter.
Okay. So now then, let's talk about Puzzled, which is a great name, by the way. How did you come up with that idea? And talk to us about Puzzled. And I know that your daughter, Soni, is also a producer on the documentary. And I think it's great having a young person's involvement to talk about something as serious as Alzheimer's disease, and to get young people that aware early is definitely preventative. Taking preventative measures.
Right. So my next steps in life always come from a place of tragedy, right? Or failure, if you will, or loss, right? The writer's strike happened. That was a huge loss for the industry, but it put me in a position to work for myself. Okay. Puzzled came on the heels of this huge deal. Life-changing. This wasn't a bag. This was a block. Right, this was some buildings, life-changing, situation that just dissolved. And I was spearheading, right? I was the foundation of this project with celebrities involved, and I was so excited, and it just dissolved in my hands. And I was woe is me for a long time, like a couple of weeks. And I got a call from a cousin of mine who said, hey, can you come help with my great aunt? She is transitioning from independent living to assisted living, and she has Alzheimer's. I'm like, last time I saw her, she didn't have no Alzheimer's. What you talking about? But okay, I love her. I'll help. And so I spent the entire day with her, and I loved it. She repeated herself, and I just, addressed every question that she asked with, a different answer. But I never was like, I just said that, and are you listening to me? Because I also know she has Alzheimer's. So I kept spending time with her. And the more time I spent with her, I felt great about it. Like, it was so easy for me to be around someone who had Alzheimer's. But then it made me think, like, wait a second, both my grandmothers died from Alzheimer's. Right? Okay. Wait a second. And now I'm flipping through my family tree. Like, wait a minute, this person died of Alzheimer's. This person died. Wait a second. Let me look this disease up. Right? And I looked it up because now I want to know, can I get this?
Right. Okay.
Right. That was what first came to mind. So I'm reading and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can get it. But okay, these are different ways to reduce your risk factors. And hereditary does not necessarily mean you are guaranteed to get this. Okay. Right. But what puzzled me the most, hence the name, was the fact.
I love that. That just sounded so good when you just did that.
True.
Yes. Puzzled.
Right. It was the fact that women were more likely than men to get it, and African American women were twice as likely to get it than the national average. It's like, wait a second. Wait. And then I'm looking at all of these research and these studies, and I'm like, why has all of this been on a man when the very first person in life diagnosed with Alzheimer's was a woman?
Okay.
And she was German, but nonetheless, it was still found in a woman. And so I was like, wait a minute. Again, it's puzzling to me, right? And I'm trying to put these pieces together and nothing is fitting. It's not making sense until I looked in the mirror and I was like, somebody needs to do something about this. And this is going to sound so, I guess, cliche. It literally was like I heard a voice saying you could do something about it. I was like, what can I do? I don't know anything about no Alzheimer's. That's for old people. I ain't trying to talk about that. I am Hollywood. I am lights. And God was like, yeah, and how far did that get you?
Okay.
All right. Okay, well, what can I do? And then I was like, I could do a documentary, right? But it's Alzheimer's. So how do I talk about this in a fun and entertaining and yet educational way? And how do I do this, right? With no money, no equipment, no crew. And then my daughter runs in and she's like, oh, Mom, look at what I just did on my TikTok. And I'm like, you did that edit? Oh, there's my co-producer, right?
Yes, I love it.
Right. But then everything about her energy too, right? Like, okay, wait a second. This can, we tell this from a youthful point of view. Right? Because what I found out that was the most, again, puzzling and also disturbing is that by the time you've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 65 years and older, scientifically proven, you really had it 20 years prior. So why are we talking about this at 65?
Right, exactly.
Why have we categorized this as a senior's condition?
When you know that it had started 20 years, it was in progress. Right. So now tell me this. I know that people confuse dementia and Alzheimer thinking they're one and the same, and they're not. So could you please explain the difference between the two?
Right. So dementia is cognitive impairment overall. Your brain. There is something going on in your brain that's not, all the pieces aren't coming together, right? Alzheimer's is cognitive impairment that happens in the hippocampus part of the brain, right? And that's where learning and memory takes place. That's the reason why Alzheimer's affects, right, memory, right? And so that happens in the hippocampus. So the way I like to really put it in the simplest form is think of dementia as the house, right? Okay. And Alzheimer's is a room in the house. Right. So in the house, you have your living room, you have your bedroom, you have your bathroom, you have your dining room, and so on and so forth. Whereas with dementia again is the house, and Alzheimer's is occupying the learning and memory room.
Yeah. So basically, dementia is the general term for symptoms with a decline in memory, and Alzheimer is the most common cause of dementia.
Correct.
Yeah. So, now, I know that the lack of knowledge, the misconception that Alzheimer's disease is normal part of aging, and cultural differences, how the disease is managed, also adds to the disconnect. There's a stigma behind the disease that prevents conversations about it. What can be done? And I know that your puzzled is going to definitely be a step towards that. But what can the community do? How can we keep education and advocacy and community outreach? How do you reach those people?
Well, that's exactly the reason why I decided, okay, let me do a documentary, right? Because we all watch TV, especially right now.
Right.
And we're all looking for interesting stuff, right? That speaks volumes to us. So we have to talk about this. Talk about this as much as we can. And not just talk about the problem, but talk about, like you were just saying, what can we do? We can eat right. And I don't like using the word diet, because you have to eat right for your blood type. And I don't know what that is. However, drinking water has never hurt anyone, right? Eating more greens has never hurt anyone. Blueberries, definitely a huge help. Walnuts, and you can find different ways to consume these. Yes, raw is always the best, but you can do smoothies and do, a smoothie that doesn't include ice cream, right?
People put ice cream in smoothies?
People put all different kind of stuff in smoothies. Okay. I'm like, how is that healthy? And they're like, but it have mango. Okay. But you let me know how that works out for you. But basically, eating right, exercising is a huge, huge part of it. Even if you only can afford to do 15 minutes, that helps. Yes. And to me, exercise and sleep are one of your foundational risk reducers, because when you exercise, your blood is circulating, and you want your blood circulating so that it can transport fresh air to where? Your brain. Exactly. Exactly. I was reminded of that with my daughter in this Zoom school that she has right now due to the pandemic. But also sleep. Sleep is a huge, huge part of it, because when you sleep, your body is in your brain is able to dump the toxins that you took in, that you soaked in from the day, from what you smelled, who you spoke with, being on a computer or your cell phone all day, what you ate, what you put on your body. All of you're still consuming toxins. Yeah. And you have to give your body a chance to dump all of that, or your brain to dump all of that, because if you don't, and people talk about, I sleep when I'm dead. No, you're gonna die if you don't sleep.
Okay, girl. Talk to me about sleep. Yes, absolutely. So now, what are some of the signs that people should be aware of?
Well, your most common signs are, forgetfulness. Okay. Right. And a lot of people are like, I forget all the time. And, but I'm married, and my kids, my job, no. The brain is not designed, especially a young person, right? Yes, over time, there can be some fade, if you will, right? In super layman's terms. But at the end of the day, you should be remembering every move that you make, especially your mid to late 30s, 40s, you should be able to retain some things. So if you're seeing that happen a lot, those are usually the first signs. And then some people will even go as far as it'll get worse and you won't do anything about it because you still keep making excuses for it. Oh, I'm just busy. Oh, I have a lot on my plate, which also does add to it, right? So you want to start to eliminate stuff from your plate. Tell people no. Period. Yeah. We have to get into the habit of that. And us as Black women, we say yes to everybody.
Yeah, but that stigma is still there. I mean, we have the stigma with mental health. We have the stigma, people don't want to talk about these things because I guess it's embarrassing to them. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely correct. The first person I interviewed for this documentary was my grandfather, because he was my grandmother's caregiver, and he did a phenomenal job. He did so good at her funeral, they stood up and talked about him. Oh. Yeah. He was still very much, he is very much alive, right? That's how great of a job he had done, being her caregiver. And it's just important that we continue to talk about this and find support groups, because he said, and I asked him, when she was first diagnosed, did you go to the church, right? Because these church folks, no, we didn't go. Again, because of the stigma, you just said we didn't want to talk about that because we're looked at as crazy. So I'm like, wait a second. I have a mental health issue and I don't want to talk with anyone about it. But if I start walking down the street yelling That's cool.
Okay.
We're so bad. And here's the thing, seek therapy.
Yeah.
We have to go to therapy. I
Black
can't.
people don't go to therapy, girl. Didn't you know that?
And that's exactly the reason why we twice as likely to have it, because we don't dump our load. We don't go to sleep, so we're not dumping it, right? We're not exercising, so we're not able to recycle it or to try to get it out of us. We're not eating right. We're not doing these things that can help us. And these are small things, right? That really honestly won't cost you any money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now tell me this, are there any screenings available for Alzheimer's? Can you get tested for it?
Yes. So you would go to a neurologist, and you really would start with your primary physician, right? Okay. And in my documentary, I talk about that because that was my experience was, let me get tested, right? And I did. And I remember going to my doctor telling her, oh, I want to get tested for Alzheimer's. So, oh, you don't need to worry about that. You know, you're too young for that. Never once did I say I was doing a documentary or I'm well versed in Alzheimer's. It just was, I want to get the test. And she really was denying me the test. Now, had I said, can I get the flu shot? She would have turned right around with the needle ready to put it in my arm, right? But I'm asking you to get a mental check.
Okay. And
you're denying me? Okay, well, can you, and I wasn't rude about it. I just simply asked her, okay, well, can you please put in my chart that I was denied to see a neurologist? Well, okay, I'll move you along. Really? I had to say all that? Nonetheless, I went and took the test, and it's a neurological evaluation. And the test is a couple of hours long. And, it really just, they test your speed, they test your memory, they test your accuracy. It was really interesting and kind of childish in a way, right? I felt like I was taking this kid, like kindergarten test. Like, is the A, B, C, D? Yeah, I know how to tell the time, but you can mess up. So I'm looking forward to sharing my results so that people can really see what this test looks like. And, I walk it like I talk it, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So now you also talked about being a caregiver. So you've been taking care of people with Alzheimer's, is that it?
Right. So started doing the documentary and let me step back. So I was still helping my great aunt.
Okay.
And someone told me, oh, you get paid to be a caregiver? I said, paid to care? Only in America.
Okay.
I'm going to pay you to care and still find a way to mess that up, right?
Okay.
And so I started looking into it and I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, this can help, bring some money in. And then what I also found out is being a caregiver, it made me feel good. It boosted my mood.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I was like, wait a second, me giving is also coming back to me. So I like the way I feel doing this. And, the people haven't complained about me. So I guess I was doing a good job.
And you went and got licensed too, though, right?
Yes,
so you're licensed.
Yes, a licensed caregiver.
Yes.
And sometimes I sit here, I'm like, a licensed caregiver? What the heck? This absolutely makes no sense to me, right? But
you're doing God's work.
Yes.
He tapped you on the shoulder and said, you know what, put that film aside. You got something else. I got something else for you to do.
Look, and when you saying that one night, I was like, God, don't talk to me anymore. I don't want to do Alzheimer's. I'm not thinking about it. It's midnight. My daughter is asleep. I don't want to think about this. It's frustrating. It's puzzling, right?
Yes.
I am going to watch Tiffany Haddish new comedy special on Netflix. And so I turn on Netflix and I'm watching it. And she tells a joke about Alzheimer's. I was like, okay, all right.
Message, like the Wayans. Message.
Right, exactly. Like, really? Did she really? Tiffany Haddish telling a joke about Alzheimer's really got, okay, all right, I'm back in. So, and been swimming ever since. There definitely comes with some challenges as life is for all of us. But it's been unbelievable. And so with caregiving, my grandfather was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. And so I started helping him. And I told my daughter, Look, this is what we're doing. And it's important for her to see these images.
Oh, absolutely.
It's important for her to see family taking care of one another. It's important for her to see how a woman can take care of a man. Yes, it's a totally different type of relationship, obviously, because it's my grandfather and her great grandfather. But the love is what I want her to see, and to feel. And she does. And having her around adds, fun and humor to it, because with Alzheimer's, I like to call it, once an adult, twice a child. We've heard that saying before. And you really do see that once you get into your final stages. My grandfather's not there, but both my grandmothers were there. And I saw that. I saw the diapers are now depend.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The stroller is now a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. Really, we're eating pureed food. Yeah. Again, that one was really a hard pill for me to swallow, because it's like, wait a second. You can't even eat solid food anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, aging is not for the weak, baby. Even if you don't have Alzheimer's, that process that you just described, it happens to the best of us. Anybody that gets a chance to live out old age gracefully, it's just that part. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with Brad Pitt, The Curious Life of Benjamin Button.
Yes, that was Taraji, yes.
Oh, I love that movie. Yes. Love it. Even though it was backwards, it was reversed, but it just shows you how, you are a baby, then you age, and how as a baby, your parents take care of you. And then as you get older, your kids are taking care of you. Mm-hmm. So it's that circle of life that continues to go on. Now, because this is really serious Alzheimer's is very serious in African-American women, what are some of the things that you can say to my podcast guests to get them involved and on the bandwagon with this, getting people aware about it? When will your documentary be available or come out? Do you have a date for that?
So I'm looking at November as a release, since that is technically Alzheimer's Awareness Month.
Okay.
But then also, as far as us, and so we have to talk about it. And it's crazy because on my social sites, Puzzle 2020 on Instagram and on Facebook, I have random people, some people I knew and some people I didn't know, actually giving Alzheimer's facts. And everyone is under the age of 65. And I want them to be able to relate and identify with different people, right? Different cultures, ethnicity. Of course, there's a target on us as women, and even more so us as African-American women. But it's important for us to talk about this, because what I realized is that, especially with the strangers that I approached asking if they would do this, it was always like, oh yeah, my aunt, oh yeah, my mom, yes. Oh yeah, my neighbor. We all know someone who has this. And it's just kind of, in my opinion, kind of similar to cancer, right? When cancer first popped up, nobody was talking about that. Oh, you just sick, right? And then when you saw a person and all their hair was gone, it was like, oh, they're just sick. And it wasn't until we kept talking about it, right? We keep talking about it and talk about it, because we all know someone who has this. And the more we talk about it, the more we can prevent it, because that's what happened with cancer, right? Yeah. You have cancer survivors.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, in the African-American community, not just with women, but with men, we're hit by every disease. We are the number one. Heart disease is the number one killer to us. Now we got diabetes, now Alzheimer's, and there's just so much more. And again, a lot of it has to do with our environment, the way we eat, the exercise, and all that other good stuff. So I know that the simple fact that you and I are having this conversation, my desire is that it really opens up people's mind to share this and let other people know that it is definitely something we have to talk about, because right now the baby boomers is a huge population. And so it's growing rapidly, which means that a number of people with dementia is going to be expected to increase significantly. So the real truth is that a lot of people's doors are going to be knocked on because your parents are aging.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's why I encourage my parents, my friends' parents, my friends and friends and friends, everyone, drink water. Let's start there, right? Eliminate all the soda, Eliminate all the juice. You know, if you want a juice, make it yourself. Eliminate the. And here's the thing: try it for a week. Try it for a week and see how you feel. Right?
Yeah,
If you feel
absolutely.
good from that, then let's move to the next step. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm not. I don't want to call this a diet, but incorporating healthy habits into your life, because you don't want to look up and people think that, oh, that doesn't run in my family. I can't get that.
And you're right. It's not a diet. It's called a lifestyle.
Right.
It's switching over to a healthy lifestyle. I know that I've changed tremendously with the way I eat and the things that I won't consume. And every once in a while, if I want to have something sweet, I do. If I want to have my salty chips, because I love my chips, all things in moderation.
Right.
But
Right.
you really have to make sure that, sodium is not really good, the sugar. So everything that's so good is so bad, right?
No. I mean, I hear you on one hand, yes, because I love ice cream, and ice cream can be one of those bad things, right? But they have so many healthier choices these days.
True.
And they don't taste bad. And here, are you eating to live? Are we eating to live, or are we eating for likes on social media?
Yeah.
Which one is it? Because if we're eating to live, then we'll start to eliminate those things. If we're eating for likes, then we want to get surgery.
Okay.
We're okay with doing those things to our body.
Wait a minute. They can't get surgery because everybody don't have health insurance now. So we got to make sure that goes through, that we get that. So universal health care is another thing that's on the plate that needs to happen. So it's a lot going on in this world. And I am just so grateful that you have been tapped on the shoulder by the gods to bring this message to our people, because it's definitely something. And I think because you're so young and vibrant, you'll be able to really get that message out. And then you got your young daughter helping. So this, to see a young person already being concerned about what's happening to elders, I think is important. I remember when my daughter was your baby's age, or maybe even a little bit younger, I had her volunteer at the Bayview Senior Center with her grandma. Because I said, you know what, I think it's important that you actually be around older people so you can actually see that they are people. Other races really take care of their elders. I think, and there was a time when we did, I don't know if we're still doing it or not, so I won't say, but I really think that it's important to make sure that we are taking care of our elders, because they were there for you.
Absolutely. And we also have to remember too, we are going to get old.
Okay.
Not willing.
no matter what.
Right. Every second minute that we are on the interview, we've aged.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
We forget that. So by the time we get there, we want to be able to have that, favor return to us.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, when you said favor, just brought me to something that I know you and I had this conversation, so I want you to expound on it a little bit more about how, what does being grateful have to do with your health? How does being grateful, what kind of effect does gratefulness have on your health?
So I realized during the pandemic, because we were all suffering, right? And mental illness was just rising. And oh my God, I can't even imagine what was happening to people who were suffering with Alzheimer's during the pandemic. Like, oh my God. And so what I realized and actually discovered was that being grateful is scientifically proven to boost your overall mental health, and handwriting your thoughts increases memory. So my daughter and I had actually started doing this, and I felt different. It was the weirdest thing, right? Because I'm not taking a pill. I am simply writing down, I'm grateful for opening my eyes, right? And so we came up with this, which is a gratitude bank.
Okay.
With our logo on it. And
is that a brain? Is that a brain on the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this black part behind.
It's
yes,
the brain.
It's the brain. And then of course I am grateful for it. And I hope it's not backwards coming across.
No, it's not. It. I can see it.
Okay, cool. And so 60 days worth of cards. And you also get a pen, which is also a stylus. And literally, however often you feel most comfortable doing it, daily is recommended, right? Because the more you put out, the more you get back in. And you just write down what you're grateful for. And for some people, it may be, I'm grateful for life, you
Yes.
know. For me, what I really started to write down the most was I'm grateful for wisdom, right? I'm
Yes,
grateful
indeed.
for knowledge. I'm grateful for breath, right? A strong immune system. And it really got me to thinking outside of the box, right? And then sometimes I'm grateful for stuff I don't even have yet. I'm
Okay,
grateful
there
for
you
this
go.
puzzle
That's right.
documentary going straight to #1 worldwide.
Okay, there you go.
And
Speak it, baby. Bring it to
right.
life. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's exactly what being grateful does to really
Yeah.
answer your question. You said it in a nutshell. You bring life to yourself
Yeah.
without even realizing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can honestly tell you, and this is gonna sound so crazy because it's like all you do is write down you're grateful for breath and life is better. Absolutely. I promise you, I am like a magnet for blessings.
Yeah.
Long story short, the other day we went into UPS and oh my God, I have to return something and it's telling me to print something out and then I have to pay for that. And so the guy was like, don't worry, just send it to me. I was like, thank you. And he's like, and I'm not even going to charge you that much. And I said, okay, you charge me 10 cents. Thank you. And I know for some people, like you say, 10 cents, really? Yes, really.
Okay.
Really, I say to, and then from there it just kept getting better because see we forget the small things make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the gratitude thing, I keep a gratitude journal. I have been for years, and I actually give that credit to Oprah because, Oprah definitely believes in the gratitude, where she actually had this, gratitude journal challenge thing going. So I think it's important. I love your bank. How can people get that bank if they wanted to get it?
So you can purchase this at our website puzzled2020.com. And also on our website, it gives you more information about who we are, what we do, what this documentary is going to be about, and resources, right? Because that's also key in all of this is resources. Who can I
Yes.
really talk with about this? Okay, you telling me to talk, but who can I talk to?
Right.
Here are support groups that you can reach out to, right, in different areas. And our goal is definitely to grow the website to where we have resources from around the world because
Nice.
Alzheimer's is not just a California issue, right?
Okay.
This is a global issue.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting to cross cultures with this. Even as far as I spoke with a woman in Africa, her mom has it, and it was just so interesting talking with her about it and how in Africa they are really like, we ain't talking about that.
Huh.
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
no, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? They're going to talk about it because you're going to make sure that they do.
Right, and that is okay to talk about it, right? Because when you
Yeah.
talk about it, you can get help, and
Yes.
you don't always have to say. And I learned this from you. Everything, right? There are definitely ways and things that you can say and address certain words that you can use. If your mom has this and you don't want to say it's your mom, you can say my loved one, right?
Yeah.
A loved one could
Absolutely.
be anybody.
Yes. Absolutely.
Who that it could be a neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just someone you need the information on really how to reduce your risk factors. This is a mental illness.
So tell me again the website where they can go to, and then we're going to segue because I want to talk about you after this.
Okay, people can go to www.puzzled2020 and that's 2020.com.
So now, Santi, tell me three people that have inspired you. Just three. I know you probably have tons, but I just need three.
Yes, I have a village. I've watched your interviews and I've heard you ask these questions and then cut to, hey, can I interview you? And I'm like, hey, who would be my three people? So I've actually really, really thought about this.
Okay. Oh, you was
Everything else,
waiting for. So you were waiting for this question. Okay.
yes,
See.
yes. Because everything else, I was like, okay, I know Alzheimer's. We're gonna talk about that. But this one right here, and I had to think about who has helped to, mold my life and my career. Yes, it's definitely a village. Make no mistake, right? But
Sure,
narrowing it
absolutely.
down to um, foundation, I would definitely say so. The first one is there is two people, right? It's both
Okay.
my grandmothers,
Okay.
right? I learned so much from them. Definitely humble beginnings. Grateful that I have both of my grandmothers in my life. Unfortunately, their cause of death, is why we're even having this interview right now. But definitely both of them, and then also you. You were
Oh, I'm in it.
yes,
Well,
yes,
that's a surprise.
very first mentor. And I didn't know anything about a mentor. I was just, Shelly was just like, you need to meet Kelly. And I was like, okay, all right, whatever you say. And you definitely have helped me realize some things. And a lot of things that you said, I still practice to this day where I'm like, okay, I remember Kelly told me to do that. That makes so much sense. And we've kept in contact over the years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Never been these years of gaps, which is why it was even easier to do the interview with you because you know me. You
Okay.
know me. Right. You just don't know us, Santi. You know Santi. You know the
And I
Hunter's
love
Point.
her, and that's okay. I love all of her.
um, the other person is another mentor of mine that actually came later on in life, a woman by the name of Judith Orlowski. And she's such a beautiful soul in the industry, entertainment industry. But what's most interesting to me about her is that we've never met in person.
Oh,
I don't know what
okay.
she looks like.
No way.
Yes,
I love it.
yes. And
I
she has
love it.
been extremely helpful with my career, and her guidance is just unbelievable to me. Like, wait a second.
How come you don't do a Zoom with her?
But I know, right? I need to, and it's years.
Oh, yeah. No, you need to see her.
Yes, we've talked over the phone. I know, right? It's like
Uh,
if you
oh,
being
yeah.
catfish, it's a good catfish,
Well, I
right?
mean, and now in this age of Zoom, girl, you better pick up the Zoom
Right,
and see her.
right. FaceTime, and she lives in a whole nother time zone.
Okay.
It's really weird, but when I tell you, she has really helped me, and I've learned so much from her in this industry, especially being above the line, right? Above the line, meaning an executive in this industry, because she's been there, done that. So
Okay.
I could listen to her all day long with just the wealth of knowledge she has about this industry and how to really handle certain situations. And then I do have a bonus.
Okay.
I'm going to add my bonus,
Okay. Add your bonus.
which is my daughter. My daughter
Oh,
Savannah. She had
how
like
sweet.
I don't know how I wake up and do this without her.
Yeah.
Like
That's beautiful.
seriously, this especially during the pandemic where I know some people like my kids, they've gotten on my nerves. Yes, she has done her fair share of that, but I feel like we've actually gotten closer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really learning who she is, and she's preteen, right? So
Okay.
she
Oh, that's a serious time. And that's
yes,
the bonding. This is the
yes.
great bonding time.
Yes, yes. So even before that, just I've learned so much about me, through her. So she's
Hmm.
definitely my bonus to my three people.
And she's so beautiful. She looks just like your little mini me. She looks
Oh,
exactly like
yes.
you. It's like when I saw her, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. She
Right.
looks
Yeah.
just like you.
And sometimes I'm like, dear God, please forgive my smart mouth when I was younger, because it's definitely coming back tenfold.
Oh, baby, the teen preteen. I'm watching my grandbaby and, bonding with her. It's just been so beautiful, and they know everything, don't they? So now I would like for you to tell me what would the 9-year-old Asante say to, oh, oh,
Right.
oh, see, I just looked at you and I'm like, oh, okay, let's take a moment. Let's let her have her moment. That's beautiful. Yeah. Wow. So talking about your three people and getting
Right.
to your daughter bring you to tears. That's beautiful. She'll
I,
treasure that, actually. She'll treasure
I'm
that.
truly grateful for that. For
Well,
having.
it's funny, Asante, and because I know a lot of parents cannot wait for their kids to go back to school. And I'm thinking, you know what? These are your children. You had them, and now you got a little time to be with them and you want them out. So, and you're the opposite of that. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now, what would the 9-year-old Asonti say to the adult woman now?
Oh my God. I don't know. Cause I feel like when I came out the womb and they were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Grown. I want to be grown. I want to have bills. Well, back then I didn't know it was bills. I just thought it was mail. I want to have
Okay.
mail. That's what I thought being grown meant, right? And now I'm like, who is no mail? Thank God. The 9-year-old would probably tell myself, I honestly don't know. I had to, because when I tell you, I've always, that's the reason why I'm like, oh my God, my daughter reminds me so much of me. She knows exactly what she wants. You know what? I probably would tell myself to don't forget to be humble. Don't forget that. That's such an important part of life to be humble.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, there's so much we take for granted, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I think social media is great for what it's great for, right? And then you have certain things on social media that I just feel like are toxic, you know, as far as why are we always chasing a bag?
Yeah.
But not a brain.
Yeah.
You know, why are we always looking to hurry up and spend some money on things we don't need for people who don't like us? And we've seen those postings, you know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And it is so true. You know, we're constantly looking in someone else's lane and not focusing on ourselves and focusing on ourselves in a way that's healthy for us.
Yeah. Well, they say it's a lot of depression going on because of the social media. And I'm thinking, you know what? People need to read a book. Pick up a book. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm such a reader that I've always got my head buried in books. But yeah, I just really think that people have to really change their priorities. And the kids, I mean, my God, they don't know anything better. You know, I see people out at restaurants looking down. They're not communicating with each other. So it's manners are not being taught. So there's a lot of things that we're going to suffer from because of it. Unless people find a way to start weaning off of it. It's kind of like a drug. It's addicting.
Right. Unfortunately, that's exactly what a drug is. It's addictive behavior. And I'm hoping that, you know, somewhere in all of this, right, I can pop my little self in and say, hey, you know what else is addicting? Caring about your health.
Okay. There you go. There you go. So, Asonti, before we say goodbye, is there anything else you would like for the audience to know?
I would like for people to know that Alzheimer's is real, especially amongst us as African American women. You know, trauma can trigger it, which we all know we suffer that the most, right? Anxiety, depression, all of that can trigger it. Again, we suffer that the most. Physical abuse, mental abuse, all of that can trigger Alzheimer's later on in life. So you want to start correcting your thoughts now. Now, granted, I am no perfect angel to any of this because you know what did we say when we started? Oh, the troubles I've seen. Whew, Lord, that definitely could have wiped out a village,
yes,
right?
Indeed.
So I definitely have my fair share of it. But honestly, you know, being grateful, right? We have to take baby steps towards this, right? Because there is no magic pill. Okay, if you need a sleep aid or if you need whatever type of aid there is, I understand that. But as far as just popping a pill, waking up and feeling like, whoop, whoop, I'm back to life, everything is fine. No, we have to work at this. Just like you work at saving your money for that bag and you work at saving your money for those shoes and that hair and those nails. That's
I got to get my nails did.
Right. All of that, right? It really is. Okay, so when do you prioritize your heart? When do you prioritize your brain? So I really want people to walk away with knowing that, you know, your brain matters, and not to try to piggyback off of, you know, the sayings that have already been out there, but we focus so much on the body, we forget about the brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being my guest. It has been such a pleasure. It's been wonderful. I've had so much fun walking down memory lane with you, as well as, having you share this wonderful wisdom about Alzheimer and especially how it affects African American women. So, to my audience, thank you again for listening to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. And pretty soon, I will be offering courses. I will be also offering uh, calendar dates where you can come and ask me questions and, or let me know some of the topics that you'd be interested in me having with other guests. So stay tuned for that, okay? And again, thank our guest, Miss Asoniti Foster.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. So good to see you.
Thank you. And again, audience, thank you for listening.
Bye.